Have you ever observed nature's most mysterious protectors, a white lion, lying trapped under a fallen acacia tree, his breathing labored and his eyes misted with pain? Witnessing such a moment in the wild heart of Africa was not only courageous, it was also a call. A call to save a life. The sealless wildlife sanctuary, with its vast savannas, would turn golden in the first rays of the sun. Usually filled with the rustle of windblown tall grasses and the echoing sounds of wildlife, that morning the land had fallen into a deep silence. It was as if nature was holding its breath, waiting for what was about to happen. The only thing that broke the silence was the sound of the helicopter's rotor blades breaking through the morning mist. Caleb gripped the steering wheel tightly, his eyes locked on the horizon. Minutes earlier he had received a call. A rare white lion had been found motionless under a fallen tree after a storm. A white lion. That mythical creature, heard only in legends, whispered by old rangers, known as the protector of the savannah. He was going to see with his own eyes this rare creature, seen only once in a generation, symbolizing purity and strength. But alas, in the cruelest of circumstances. Caleb's heart beat with fear and mixed hope as the Land Rover drove along the muddy roads. The sky was still cloudy, traces of the storm reflected in the puddles on the ground. As they traveled along the rough roads of the reserve, thoughts gnawed at his mind. How long has he been there? Is he still alive? The thought of a white lion, this rare miracle of nature, disappearing under broken branches was unbearable. A voice echoed over the radio again. The pilot's voice was clearly heard over the static rustling. Ranger Caleb, visual confirmed. The white lion is still there. Status uncertain. Herd activity detected. 4 lionesses and 1 male, be careful. Herd activity. Caleb's hands gripped the steering wheel tighter. He had never witnessed a pride defending his wound. Especially for such a rare lion. But this was no ordinary rescue operation. He pressed harder on the gas pedal, the road narrowing as the Land Rover accelerated. The tall grass whipped the sides of the vehicle like whips that he could see now. He was lying in the trees, under the storm-shattered acacia branches, in his bright white fur. The 5 lions surrounding him were motionless as statues. Their gaze was fixed on one spot, the white lion beneath the fallen tree trunk. Caleb slowed the vehicle, his heart pounding in his chest. He had witnessed lions defending territory, cubs and displays of strength, but this was different. This was loyalty. This was protection. That he stopped the engine and slowly stepped out of the vehicle. He moved slowly, keeping his hands outstretched as his boots sank into the wet earth. The lions never took their eyes off him for a moment. Their muscles tense, their gaze sharp but unmoving. Caleb took a deep breath, his breath evaporating in the cool morning air. "I'm here to help," he whispered, but he wasn't sure if those words were for the lions or for himself. He reached into his backpack and pulled out his chainsaw and first aid kit. He realized his hands were shaking slightly, but he didn't stop. He knew that the slightest wrong move could upset the delicate balance between them. Out of the corner of his eye, he looked back at the pride. 5 pairs of eyes were following his every move. One of the lionesses stepped forward slightly, her eyes locked with Caleb's. Caleb held his breath and lowered his gaze to the ground, keeping his distance. The lioness turned her gaze back to the white lion. It was as if she was giving him permission. A silent acceptance, perhaps a trust offered by nature. "Okay," Caleb said, pulling himself together. He moved slowly towards the white lion, checking his breathing through the fallen branches. Its bright white fur, covered in mud, was like one of nature's miracles. His hand paused slightly above the lion's head. His eyes opened slightly, locked on Caleb's. In that moment, a silent, unspoken bond formed between them. A bond of trust. Caleb began to work carefully. He cleaned the branches slowly, his hands steady, his movements gentle. The lion stood still, as if approving this ritual of rescue. As Caleb cleared each branch, hope blossomed a little more. As Caleb knelt beside the white lion, the pride's eyes never left him. The vast expanse of the African savanna was silent, as if even nature was holding its breath, watching what was about to happen. The white lion's breathing was weak, his eyes half closed. The huge acacia branch pressed against its bones and muscles, leaving a painful sigh with each breath. Caleb slowly reached his hands up to the lion's head, and as his fingertips touched its velvet fur, the lion's chest rose slightly. "We're going to get you out of here, buddy," he whispered. As his voice echoed in the silence of the savannah, the pride's golden eyes became even more alert that he took a deep breath before starting the chainsaw. He was encouraged by how calm the herd was, but he was also on edge. The slightest wrong move could disrupt this quiet harmony. The noise the moment he started the saw could shatter the peace of the savannah. Slowly he pressed the button, and as the blades began to turn, one of the lionesses raised her head and pricked up her ears. Caleb hesitated, staring at her. For seconds the gaze was like two different worlds weighing each other. Then the lioness lowered her head again, fixing her eyes on the white lion. Caleb, feeling a sense of relief, went to work. Each time a branch fell to the ground, the lioness's chest began to breathe deeper. Caleb realized that every move he made eased the lion's pain a little more. As he cleared the branches with the saw, he checked the lion's wounds. The blood had stopped flowing, but the deep cuts were a testament to how hard the storm had been. As he worked, Caleb thought, "Such a rare creature. Nature seems to want me to protect it." After more than an hour of hard work, the trunk of the acacia tree was completely cleared. Caleb put the chainsaw aside and got down on his knees. The white lion's eyes slowly opened and locked directly on Caleb's. In that moment, the invisible bond between man and nature was fully felt. No words were needed. Caleb read in the lion's gaze a trust, a thank you. The magic of that moment hung in the infinity of the savannah. "Okay, buddy, it's time to get you out of here," Caleb said, his voice gentle and determined. He reached for his radio. "Dispatch, this is Ranger Caleb, we've rescued the white lion, we need backup and a vet." The response on the radio was clear. "Copy that, Caleb, team on the way. We are proud." An involuntary smile spread across Caleb's face. At that moment, one of the lionesses began to walk slowly towards him. Caleb did not move. The lion's steps were slow, her eyes steady. For a moment the whole world was silent, as if time had stopped. The lioness came up to the white lion and rubbed his head lightly. Then she turned her eyes to Caleb, then back to the white lion. Caleb saw something in those eyes. It was gratitude. The white lion had been rescued, but the work was not yet finished. Caleb's radio crackled again. "Caleb, emergency report. Flooding after the storm has completely blocked the southern corridor. The vet team is having difficulty moving forward. Helicopter support may be required." Caleb raised his head to the sky for a moment. Gray clouds hung thickly over the savannah, as if they would never dissipate. "Copy that, contact the support teams. We need to get them here. We are racing against time." Just then the lioness rubbed her head again. She took a step closer to Caleb. This time she was not alone, the other lionesses were behind her. The 4 lions formed a semicircle around Caleb. Caleb slowly stepped back. He had to draw his own boundary, he had to make them feel he would not harm them. Just then there was a humming in the sky. Caleb looked up to see a helicopter coming toward them through the fog. His heart began to race. "Here they come," he muttered. When the helicopter touched down, the veterinary team immediately exited the vehicle. One by one, supplies, stretchers and medical equipment settled on the savannah soil. Caleb crouched down next to the white lion again, putting his hand on its head. "I promised you, we will save you." The veterinary team moved quickly to where Caleb had pointed. The white lion had been pulled out from under the fallen branches, but still had not recovered. His eyes were slowly widening and he was taking deep breaths. As Caleb made way for the veterinary team, the gaze of the 4 lionesses behind him watched every move. Tension hung in the air, as if the silent waiting of nature was watching them. "Calm down, buddy, it's all for your own good," Caleb whispered, gently stroking the lioness's head. the Pride did not move as the team carefully placed the transport stretcher on the savannah. Just then, a deep roar echoed in the distance. Caleb's head snapped toward the sound. Out of the bushes emerged a huge male lion, his mane billowing in the wind. His eyes glowed like fire. The lionesses backed away, but kept their eyes on him. Caleb gestured for the veterinary team to stop. "This is unexpected," he muttered, his heart throbbing in his chest. The male lion advanced towards his pride with giant strides. His arrival caused even the earth to tremble. Caleb stepped back, holding his breath. The lion approached the white lion and rubbed his head against its fur. Then a wild roar echoed across the savannah. The birds around them flew away from the branches. "It's a show of protection," Caleb whispered. "She's letting him." As this scene unfolded, the veterinary team stepped back. Caleb picked up his walkie-talkie. "Center, the white lion has been rescued. But there's something here. The male lion's behavior is out of the ordinary. He seems protective." The response from the center was clear: "Go ahead, Caleb, go with the situation. If you deem it safe, proceed with the rescue operation." Caleb took a deep breath. The Pride watched as the veterinary team moved again. As the stretcher was placed next to the white lion, the male lion raised his head. His eyes locked on Caleb. Walking that fine line between fear and courage, Caleb slowly lowered his head. Respect was a universal language and Caleb knew it well. The stretcher was carefully placed and the white lion was gently lifted onto it. The male lion took another step. Caleb's heart raced, but he did not attack. On the contrary, he never took his eyes off the white lion for a moment. "He's giving us permission," whispered one of the vets. Caleb nodded. "Yes. Nature sometimes guides us in ways we least expect." The white lion was placed in the back of the Land Rover, secured to the stretcher and made safe. Caleb took the wheel, the veterinary team settled into the back seats. The engine started, the lionesses slowly retreated as the red dust clouds of the savannah enveloped the vehicle. The male lion watched them like a shadow. He never took his eyes off the white lion for a moment. As the vehicle moved forward, an announcement came over the radio: "Caleb, urgent information from headquarters. The perimeter cameras show that the Pride is following you. Be careful." Caleb looked back in the rearview mirror and his eyes widened at the sight. The male lion was in pursuit of the Land Rover, along with 4 females. "Unbelievable," Caleb whispered, pressing lightly on the gas pedal. "They won't let him go." Throughout the journey, the herd followed the vehicle, keeping their distance. Caleb's heart beat faster every second. Would you want to witness this miracle of nature, he thought. When the Land Rover reached the end of the savannah, the Pride stopped. The male lion looked at the white lion one last time. There was a sense of farewell in his eyes. Caleb stopped the vehicle, opened the door and turned around. "I think they're saying goodbye to him," he whispered, his eyes were full. Caleb leaned over to where the white lion lay on the stretcher and gently stroked its head. "They wanted to protect you," he said quietly. "Now it's our turn." The Land Rover moved slowly. In the background, the roar of the male lion echoed across the vast expanse of the savannah. And in that moment, Caleb understood, the white lion was not just an animal. He was a symbol of nature. The purest form of protection, loyalty, and devotion. Have you witnessed this miracle of nature? What would you do to protect it? Share with us in the comments.